So I wanted to do a quick video before the wind kicks back up in response to a question I got this morning or the other day from Diamond at Oppenheimer Ranch. And that was an invitation to go to LeetCon. So first I want to say thank you. I appreciate the offer. But it was to go as an observer and not a presenter. And so the reason I responded no, probably not, is because what that says to me is I still have not done a good job explaining what the heck I'm trying to explain. And that came up in our conversation too. And I think it comes up a lot is that what we're doing here on this channel, it's not something I think that most people value. And so I've been struggling with how to create something of value. And what occurred to me this morning when I was thinking more about, his question was that in Western culture, we don't have a system of learning. We have schools, we used to have sports, but most cultures have a system of learning for young people to be presented information in such a way that they have respect for the information. And we see that in the martial arts, we see that in yoga disciplines, we see that into spiritual disciples. But Western culture thinks 18-year-olds know everything because they have some YouTube life success, but they have no actual life experience. And so it makes it extremely difficult. And one of the things I struggle with is people will like, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? And the longer I do this, the more I realize, I can't say anything because I've watched my old videos and there's a lot of really powerful information in those videos that nobody's hearing, based on the comments and not valuing based on the views and the subscribers. So I'm not creating something of value in a way that very many people can access to. There's like a handful of people that actually perceive some value in what I'm offering. So that's on me. That's something I have to figure out. But what I have figured out and what nobody's going to want to hear around all this is we think that we're entitled to know information without any kind of training or discipline to get that information. And so that was part of our conversation. And it's a conversation I've had with a lot of people who want me to explain everything I know in 5 minutes or in one sentence. And the irony is truth itself is very simple. Our ability to hear it is very complex. And we have no system for young people or people of any age pretty much to do the work to hear the truth. And so I was thinking about that. What does that even mean? And there's a few steps. If you remember Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth. And the first step is we have to be humble enough to acknowledge that we're not right about everything and that we don't know everything. The second thing is we have to be willing to listen. And most people don't know how to listen past trying to justify their belief system or solve a problem. Couldn't tell you the last time I had a conversation where somebody actually was listening. It's very difficult for people to listen. And the third piece of that is the discipline. And discipline is something that doesn't exist in our culture. We are a hack culture. We are a comfort culture. We are an avoidance of conflict culture. We don't know anything about discipline. And the little bit of discipline that we used to have, now we perceive it as abuse and safe space violations. So we don't have any systems in Western culture to establish the foundation to be willing and humble and disciplined enough to hear and see actual truth. And part of my frustration with the community that I've started to go into, and I'm not sure if it's the right community for me, is, I saw that with Doug Volt and the Diehold information. And his theory of multidimensional reality, while it's advanced, it's also very remedial. That's not new information. What he's done is he's trying to apply mathematics to content, to information that's been around since the beginning of time. I knew that stuff when I was 16, but I didn't have the math behind it. And the reality is I didn't know what to do with it. It doesn't mean information without action, ideas without action has zero value. And what I also see within the community of the science community, especially around the sun and grand solar minimum, and it's probably true with every science community, is there's an attempt to explain the unexplainable in a concrete, consistent mathematical formula. And when I was thinking about this, the problem is that the construct, the intelligence of the universe is not finite and definitive as a math equation. The math equation is a language, a form that's trying to hold the content of the ideas, the content of the information. But the information itself isn't definable in a mathematical formula that will hold true until the end of time. And we're seeing that. I think the simplest way to explain that is, coming from a woman's perspective, is that we're trying to apply finite and definite absolute math to cycles. And all you have to do is ask any woman about a cycle, and she'll be the first to tell you no two are ever the same. They change over time, and there's an infinite number of influences in the experience of that cycle, even though mathematically it's supposed to be every 28 days, and it's supposed to have a finite number of. And you could compare all the women on the planet and you would not find one formula that applied to every single woman. You would find a different formula for every single woman that fits a pattern based around, theoretically, a 28-day cycle over the course of a portion of her lifetime. And that's where I see the mistakes being made within trying to understand what's going on in the cosmos and on Earth, is there's this struggle for a system. There was something that just ran by. This is what happens when I can't write in my journal anymore in the morning, because I've decided I'm not going to write anymore till my arm heals. So these are the things I think about. I can't write them out, so I guess I'm making videos. So, but the bottom line is that we are in a world that values logic and reason. We're in the age of reason. I think the feminine energy, the feminine perspective, is the understanding that not everything is logic and reason, and that you've only got half the equation. And my understanding of the equation of the universe is mathematics and music, meaning vibration and mathematical formulas. But the math is only the form to explain the music. It is not the music itself. And in the same way, you wouldn't want to listen to the same song at the same way every single day. Life is music. It's the best when it becomes reinvented or it becomes expanded. There's creativity is in the music, not in the math to explain it. And what I see what I see is this desperate attempt to explain the music of the universe in a mathematical formula that has zero deviation. And that's just not the way the universe works. And so the answer to this now no longer short video is what is the value that I have as from the feminine perspective is, now that I said it out loud, I think we'll start this over. I think what the value of the feminine perspective is that we are the music of the universe, and the masculine is the mathematics to give it form. I think that's really lovely. I just came up with that. I really like it, and that's just a tiny little window into the nightmare that's in my mind. But going back to what I said before is that you can't handle the truth if you haven't done the work to train and prepare yourself for the truth. And that's what I finally figured out. I can't explain anything to you, but there's no secret to the training and the preparation. It's the doing it that's the hard part. And so that's what I finally figured out. The best I can offer is a system, a structure, some motivation, and some accountability to be humble, to be willing, and to actually do discipline to do the work. Because the truth, the music that you came into the world to hear, boy, I really like this. The music you came into the world to hear isn't the notes on paper, the math of it all. It's the experience of it. And you can't experience the music fully, you can't appreciate it fully until you understand what music even is. You have to prepare yourself to feel, play, listen, hear, to know the music, appreciate the music. That is an excellent analogy. So I've already talked way longer than my tiny little video. I'm not even sure if you can see it because I'm trying to hide in the only corner that's slightly less windy. It didn't really work out, but I'm going to go play this back and see how if it's any good. I really like that. The masculine is the math, the feminine is the music. You need the math to support the music as a structure, but the music itself is what the feminine energy is, and you can't have one without the other. The beauty is when the two become one, and you can't hear the music until you've trained and prepare your ears, your body, your life to truly understand it. So humility, willingness, and discipline are what is required. And as a Western culture, we don't have anybody to teach us that. At least that's what I've noticed. But then, what do I know? I'm just some girl living out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. With that, we'll see you next time.